Next, it gives me great pleasure, wonderful, wonderful talent, wonderful poet, Robert Milby, who is truly the Johnny Appleseed of poetry up here in the Valley. My pleasure, Robert Milby.
Thank you, Heath. John Chapman, I suppose, would be my name. It was Johnny Appleseed's real name. All right. A few birthdays and death days from the past week. Native American poet Leslie Marmon Silko, born in 1948 on the 5th. Also the anniversary of the death of Anna Akhmatova in Russia in 1966, and the birthday of Lady Gregory, the playwright who was not only known in her day as a playwright, but William Butler Yeats' patron. She was born in 1852. On the 6th, we have Elizabeth Barrett Browning, born in England in 1806, Ring Lardner, short story writer, etc., 1885, and the great Gabriel Garcia Marquez in 1928. On the 7th, the great beat poet Philip Lamantilla's death in 2005, Maurice Ravel in France in 1875, and Christian von Kleist in Germany in 1715. On the 8th, the great C.P.E. Bach, son of Johann Sebastian Bach, born in 1715, American poet Michael Blumenthal, 1949. On the 9th, Henry Charles Bukowski's death at age 73 in 1994. The booze couldn't kill him, but I think cancer did. All right, Ornette Coleman, born in 1930. Taras Shevchenko, one of the most important poets of the Ukraine, born in 1814. Today is the 10th, Josef von Eichendorff, German Romantic era poet, 1788, and Etheridge Knight's death in 1991. And of course, who could forget Bix Beiderbecke, born in 1903. Those are just a few. So what is it that Garrison Keillor is incomplete? Oh. So You Want to Be a Writer by Charles Bukowski. If it doesn't come bursting out of you in spite of everything, don't do it unless it comes unasked for. Out of your mouth and heart, your mind and your gut, don't do it. If you have to sit for hours staring at your computer screen or hunched over your typewriter searching for words, don't do it. If you're doing it for money or fame, don't do it. If you're doing it because you want women in your bed, don't do it. If you have to sit there and rewrite it again and again, don't do it. If it's hard work just thinking about it, don't do it. If you're trying to write like somebody else, forget about it. If you have to wait for it to roar out of you, then wait patiently. If it never does roar out of you, do something else. If you first have to read it to your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your parents or to anybody at all, you're not ready. Don't be like so many other writers. Don't be like so many thousands of people who call themselves writers. Don't be dull and boring and pretentious. Don't be consumed with self-love. The libraries of the world have yawned themselves to sleep over your kind. Don't add to it. Don't do it. Unless it comes out of your soul like a rocket. Unless being still would drive you to madness or suicide or murder. Don't do it. Unless the sun inside you is burning your gut. Don't do it. When it is truly time, and if you have been chosen, it will do it by itself. And it will keep on doing it until you die or it dies in you. There is no other way, and there never was. Bukowski. All right. Here's one by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Grief. I tell you, hopeless grief is passionless, that only men incredulous of despair, half taught in anguish through the midnight air, beat upward to God's throne in loud access of shrieking and reproach. full desertness in souls, as countries lieth silent bare under the blanching vertical eye glare of the absolute heavens. Deep-hearted man, express grief for thy dead in silence like to death, most like a monumental statue set in everlasting watch and moveless woe, till itself crumble to the dust beneath. Touch it. The marble eyelids are not wet. If it could weep, it could arise and go. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. All right. Let's see. All right, I'll do a few of mine. Well, thank you. This is dedicated to a fellow freelancer and journalist, Edgar A. Poe. The Folly of Freelance. I am a freelance writer. I am a freelance editor. My folly? People no longer read literature for love. They read it and change it. They only read it if they are paid or forced to. I reside in a Grub Street flat. I am a reborn hack, Maxwell Perkins to the damned, a ghostly scrivener with no scrivener's sons in the city of lame cliches. Do not look homeward, amateur. Look backwards to where you slept in school, refused the Golden Fleece library card, heeded the sirens of television, electronic driftnet for human souls, read magazines and comic books instead of history and epic novels. It does not have to take the top of your head off. It does not have to be It does not have to poison you in a basement nor starve you in an attic. Writing is a source of credibility when the clothes are falling from your emaciated frame, teeth are rotting, and shoplifting is a priority, not a pastime. Freelance is not a knight errant nor mercenary for the muse, but a nebulous title to cover your tracks under the radar when you are a writer and your life has been derailed. I hide in Fagin's garret, residing in haunted memoirs, a scrivener, scrying not for fame, but to leave a legacy of a purpose, not a pastime. All right, I'll just do two more. Okay. Scallions. A warm breath in middle March, and we stand listening to the return of the red-winged blackbird, our green bodies lithe and aromatic, earlier than daffodils, yet who would paint us through a trembling love poem, asking the sky to hold weeds delicately, as a perfect tulip, gather us to present to a maiden dreams of scallions on a chilled and foggy afternoon? Spring peepers call as a sparrow sways on an old cattail. They know who we are. We are spring's lions calling through winter-damp brown grasses, conjuring the crocus, asking gray clouds to bless shy daffodils and guard us from senseless scythes, mowers crazed with seasonal fevers. All right, my last one. Yesterday was the anniversary of the birth of the great Irish freedom fighter, Bobby Sands. And this is for him. Incidentally, when he was in Her Majesty's prison maze, regardless of the fact that he was a member of Parliament, it took him 66 days to starve to death. They will not criminalize us, rob us of our true identity, steal our individualism, depoliticize us, churn us out with a systemized, institutionalized, decent, law-abiding robots. We refuse to lie here in dishonor. We are not criminals, but Irishmen. This is the crime of which we stand accused. Never will they label our liberation struggle as criminal. Our revenge will be the laughter of our children. Bobby Sands. 66 days for Bobby Sands. Robert, our Catholic school teacher mentioned you to the curious students in 1981. But at 11 years old, I was too young to understand your great sacrifice. My mother's ancestors were from the north and the south, Catholics like yourself and peasants from day one. You and the lads were not convicted criminals. You were political prisoners. Once you had a life. Was it all in vain, those long, hungry days of March, your body winnowed in starvation's harvest, your vibrant pen and swarming ideas, brave son of Erin? Before long Kesh, Her Majesty's prison maze, there were the Troubles. Before the Troubles, 38 years before your birth, there was April 24th. There was always occupation, long before Black 47. If you could have held on, you could have been one of the 38 in the fall of 1983 to break and sneak along the 9 miles to Belfast. Would it be in vain? If you could see the cameras atop buildings in the neighborhoods of your brother's oppressors, comical sham of safety from terrorists, when the real terrorists still stalk Downing Street, Parliament, banks, corporations, and Buckingham Palace? By the time May Day arrived, you were nearly gone, dissolved by time and irony. Once you had a life. Did you understand the position of the banks, the purpose of the banks, the dominance of the banks, and that military occupation, no matter how long, how onerous and deadly, in the end is never about religion, but the maintenance of class structure, fed by capital, and that the wealthy will do everything legal and inhumane to retain such control? Long before Black 47, there was the husbandry of the poor. The tentacles of the banks and corporations reach far beyond the papists and Orangemen. Now, there are better drugs and superior technology at their disposal. And the people, Brother Sands, do not need to blow up buildings or starve themselves in protest of inhumane treatment of their fellow countrymen. Today, citizens blow themselves up, taking others with them. But they never strike at the roots of the poison tree, the writhing tentacles of the wealthy, the banks, the international financiers. They continue to erect and stuff the jails because the banks, the international banks, are just too damned big to fail.